Hi, good evening, guys. How are we doing today?
Good evening.
Hi, okay, welcome all to Introduction to AML and Compliance Systems. I'm Miss Bullard. I am expecting about 15 to 16 persons, and normally, we have to give them about 5 minutes to get in, just so we don't have to repeat ourselves. Okay, and so we want to give them about 5 minutes to make sure that everybody gets in and everybody is settled. For the taking of the register, can we have full first and last name? I see there's a Miss G Pratt. Could we have your first full name, Miss G Pratt? There's a Sheena, there's a DJR, there's a JC Nuri. Yeah, can we have the full first and last name, please, for the taking of the register? And we'll just give everybody a few seconds just to get in and get settled. Okay, and then we'll start. Is that good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right, so I'll be right back as we give everybody 5 minutes. If whilst you're waiting, I would have sent out a welcome note. Please check your email to confirm that you would have received that welcome note. And then we're going to go through an introduction period. And so just think of how you would like to introduce yourself. Tell us one or two things about yourself. So we want to, make sure that we know everybody, know what level we're at, and know what the expectations are from the class. Okay. So whilst you wait to give your class members a few minutes, just think about how you will introduce yourself. Okay. And we'll start promptly again at 6:35. Okay. Y'all there? Y'all got
Yes,
to talk to
ma'am.
me.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, Miss
ma'am.
Yes,
Bullard.
ma'am. Okay, excellent, excellent.
Miss Bullet,
Yes,
I didn't get the intro email.
you didn't get the email. Okay, so I'll forward that to you. Michael, is there anybody else who did not get a welcome email?
Um, no, ma'am, I did not.
Okay, can you put your email in the chat for me, please? And Michael, your email remains the same, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, good. So Deshaun, drop your email in the chat and I will forward that to you.
Okay.
Okay,
Good
good.
night.
I'm just looking at Central Bank again. You may have gotten an attachment that you should have gotten. I'm just looking now, trying to forward this email, and I'm just gonna forward it again. Y'all please excuse because I think y'all got a light bill. Did some of you get a light bill?
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I
Okay.
got the
Yes,
light bill. I got the
ma'am.
light bill.
Y'all sorry, y'all please don't go and pay that for me, right? Please, I'm sorry. I go, oh Lord. Yeah. I'm gonna resend that to everybody. See, it's a good thing. I am so sorry about that. It was supposed to be a handbook. So let me attach the handbook and I will wonder how that got in there. 1 second. Central Bank guidelines. Lord, I send the people private information. Okay, this is okay. So I attached everything, and I'm going to resend because there was an attachment, one final attachment. It's supposed to be a handbook, not that light bill. So I'm resending it to everybody. So everybody should get that. And let me just see if I can remove this so you don't get it a second time. Yeah, it's not allowing me to. Yeah, probably because I sent it separately. All right, but let me attach everything again. So, okay. You should, so everybody would have gotten a second email that has the assessment handbook in there. And so, you know, just disregard that bill. Okay, so I'm continuously getting a bounce back. Is there somebody by the name ending in Monix?
Yes, ma'am.
All of these people didn't get it. I didn't receive it. No, Iceland, Deshaun, okay. Who was Munnings? Munnings, yeah. Is it Sheena?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And you receive my emails because I had a Munnings something and that keep bouncing back. Do you have an email address that is munning618@gmail.com? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am. That would be Sheena Munnings.
Okay, but the 618 one does because that bounced back. All right, so let me forward this to all of you who would put your email in the chat. One second. Um, okay, Letitia got it. Okay, so here are we. I'm just gonna send a new email because for y'all who don't have this man email, it's BBL bill. Let me just send it separately. One second. All right, so here we go. Iceland. Michael, you got it? You received it, Michael?
Yes, I got it.
Oh, Mari, why are you putting your email address? You didn't get the first welcome note? Oh, Mari?
Yeah, I got it. This is after you explained that it was with the bill.
Okay.
From I saw the bill, I didn't really go through it. I say, hold on, this gotta be wrong.
Yeah, okay.
But I think it's right there. It's on me, Miss Bullet.
Omri, oh, sorry. Okay,
It's okay.
all right. So Sheena, you didn't get anything. Omri got it.
No,
Camille,
ma'am.
sorry. Okay, Camille. Let me add Camille. Camille. Okay. Paste. Okay, so that should be everybody. Let me just send. That's the assessment. That's central bank guidelines. This is the instructions. Okay, so everybody should have it now and just let me know if I missed anybody. I think I got everybody in that last one. Okay, so welcome. I'm Miss Bullard. I've been with the Institute for the last 13 years. I teach all parts of the International Compliance Association program, and it's three parts. This is the first part, which is introduction, and this is for 5 weeks. The second part is intermediate, that's for 10 weeks. The third part is the ICA diploma, which is 9 months of AML and 9 months of governance, risk, and compliance. I also teach supervisory skills and customer service. Okay, so just welcome, and we're happy to have all of you. This is a discussion-based class, so you get lots of points for dialogue, for communication, or for communicating and talking back. Compliance doesn't have a manual as such to where you can go and read and find out how to get the answer. It requires research, right? And decision making. And so therefore, we need everybody to be on board with researching, helping to make the best decision, and trying to mitigate all risks. Of course, we can't eliminate risks. So most of my career was spent at the Royal Bank of Canada. So I have loads and loads and loads of stories about the Royal Bank and how I navigated through my banking career. So I not only work with the Royal Bank, but I also work with the Swiss banks, and we will talk about how the cultures are different, and how it affects your daily job. I would like everybody to introduce themselves, because I'd like to know, where we work, what we do, to see which aspect I should teach from. I know the financial services sector includes insurance, casinos, accounting firms, law firms, as well as banks. And because my background is in banks, I don't want to heavily just drop on what the bank does. I'd like to touch on how this would affect the insurance industry or the casino industry. So that's why I'd want to know a little bit of background from each of you. Um, yeah, so just each of us, and then networking is very important. Okay. We live in a society, is who you know. So all of us are here at the end of this semester. We are all gonna have the same designation, right? And so I always say, if I have one position, who do I give it to? You know, Human nature says I give it to the person I know, right? Or who I'm most familiar with, because all of us are qualified. All right. So we need to get our names out there. We need to ensure that we know the movers and shakers in corporate Bahamas, and that we could go out there and make a difference. Okay, so I will start. If you have any questions about me or my history, feel free to ask. My career is an open book.
I
Um,
come right back, okay?
yeah. Camille, can
And it,
you Camille, can you mute your mic, please? Yeah. And then I have you in two spaces. Are you on your phone as well as a computer, or is that somebody else? 'Cause
so
I'm
that's
about to
my
take.
phone and the computer.
Right. Okay. All right, because I'm about to take the register. Sometimes, some people just be hacking into the class, so we have to make sure that we get everybody's first and last name, and to always know who is here in the room. Okay. So yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. Um, yeah, my whole purpose here is to share my knowledge, and hopefully I also gain some knowledge. Somebody just asked me, how am I mentored? How do I keep up to date? How do I know the most current trends? Well, I read the newspaper most days. As compliance professionals, we are normally required to read every day, but I do meet some um very interesting students who share their knowledge as well. And at the end of each semester, I always feel like my cup has been filled, and I would have learned a lot from the students as well. So I hope that we have that like-minded exchange, and all of us leave feeling that we've accomplished our goal. Okay, so I will just call on some names. Y'all please forgive Miss Bullet. I could try to call the last name, because Omari, I don't forget how you say you pronounce, I misspell it a little
Omri.
bit. Omri, yeah,
I can
see?
go first.
Yes, please go first. Help me spell it out. Thank you so much.
I can go first. Good night, everyone. My name is Omri Kelly. I work for a digital trading asset company called SEB. I am a business analyst there. I also a apprentice for a real estate company. I studied at the Bahamas Institute of Financial Services. I got my international property management certification there. And now I am in fine tech. So I want to get into compliance and anti-money laundering.
Okay, well, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's it.
No, no, okay, okay. Well, welcome. You're definitely in the right place. This is the first step, and I'm thankful. You know, some people choose to go all the way to ICA to start, and then they find themselves coming back. So you're definitely in the right place, and we're here to ensure that you accomplish all your career goals. We'll do our best to assist. So we're happy to have you. Thank you so much. Camille Duncombe.
Good day, everyone. Well, good evening, everyone. Um, my name is Camille Duncan. I currently work in the accounts department. I recently found an interest in the AML and compliance sector. So that's why I'm taking the course to get a better and a deeper understanding and eventually to move up to the international diploma.
Okay, excellent. So again, just like Mr. Miller, you're definitely in the right place to start to get your feet wet. I always encourage persons who are interested whilst you are taking the course, ask if you can cross-train in that area so that when we use the terminology or we give examples, you know, they can come to life. You know, so ask your compliance department, can I sit with you? Can I cross-train? What are the possibilities for training? And it will help connect the dots.
Well,
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna step out and come right back in because I can't hear. I think it's something on
okay,
my end.
okay, all right. All right. Thank you so much, Camille. Jacobia.
Good evening. My name is Jacobia McKenzie. Um, I'm a teller at Commonwealth Bank, so I'm just starting my finance career and I want to move into compliance, so that's why I'm taking this course.
Okay, so excellent. And again, compliance ain't for the weak, Jacobia. It requires a lot of reading, it requires a lot of research. Are you prepared? Are you an avid reader? How are you with reading?
Yes,
Okay, excellent. All right. So you on the right track. Yeah, and this 5 weeks, like no matter where you work in the financial services sector, this 5 weeks is applicable to everybody. Because as we all know, that compliance is mandatory. There's mandatory training. And so this is like a step up from the mandatory training that you are required to go through each year for AML and compliance. So this won't be a waste of time to anybody. All right. But at the end of the 5 weeks, you would be able to determine is compliance for me or not. All right. Okay. And then you would determine if you're going to go on to the intermediate section, which is 10 weeks. All right. So Jermaine Pratt.
Good evening, everyone. I am Jermaine Pratt. I am a director at one of the credit unions. And so I took this course to help me understand um, AML and compliance, what that's all about. And the end goal is to get my ICA. And so that's what this is all about for me.
Okay, excellent. Jermaine, and again, you're in the right place because I have a lot of directors sitting on boards, and there's a policy out there that labels you as fit and proper. And essentially that is going to be enforced in the coming years. So they're gonna look at your resume and see are you fitting proper to sit on this board? And definitely you're in the right position and you have the right goals to when the day comes that it is mandatory, you'll already have everything in place. So excellent that you are taking the initiative because what I've seen happen in the industry is that you have to make them do it. You have to change the rules first and then make persons comply. So it's excellent that you took the initiative and you are here to make sure that you're up to date with all of the, changes in the financial services sector. All right, so welcome and we're happy to have you. Sheena Munnings.
Hi, good night. My name is Chena Munnings. I have BA BA in law the from the the University of the West Indies. So I started to pursue compliance to get acquainted in finance.
Okay. All right, Sheena, we'll be happy to have you. And definitely you used to read and write. And so by the end of this course, we will definitely share some insight and you will leave with an eye opener in the financial services sector. So definitely you're in the right place. So welcome and we're happy to have you. Letitia Carey.
Good night, everyone. Let's see. I currently work in the legal sector. I have at least 10 plus years in terms of corporate and compliance. So this here is just like it's to build on my ICA then. I want the final certification, so I'm just trying to build. So the goal is to eventually move into the regulatory section.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Excellent. It's good to have a refresher because this world is ever changing, Letitia. So
Yeah.
we're happy to have you and good. Miss Bullet can lean on you to keep the cars flowing. So excellent and happy to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. Joshua Nuri.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Joshua Neri. I'm currently a compensation and benefits manager at Atlantis. I recently sat on a board for compliance in Atlantis and it piqued my interest. So I said, why not try something different? I currently have a degree in hospitality and tourism management and a minor in marketing. So I want to lean towards finance now.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Good start. And we definitely will help you achieve those goals. So welcome. Iceland Low.
Good evening, everyone. I currently work at Bank of the Bahamas. We currently I started an interview for compliance and, there's requirements needed. So I wanted to sit this course to see if it's something that I'm actually fully interested in doing. So that's why I'm here tonight for your knowledge.
Okay. Excellent, Iceland. And like I said, at the end of this 5 weeks, you will definitely know. You will definitely know after we read all these articles and we stay abreast of the news and we try to make the best decision for our organization. So good start. And like I said, no matter where you are in the financial services sector or in the compliance department, this course is applicable for you. Okay, so welcome. Michael?
Good night. My name is Michael Conti. I work at RBC, currently a central teller for the next couple of weeks, and then I transition over to sales. But I took this up to further expand my knowledge because I truly like policies and anti-money laundering. Like I do love learning about the different backgrounds and aspects in the banking industry. So I'm just here to really further my education and further my knowledge into it.
Okay, excellent, Michael, and happy to have you. And again, Ms. Bullitt always talks about salespeople and then them not compromising themselves because, sometimes sales budgets are not realistic. So hopefully, this course will teach you how to, you know, meet that sales target in the right way without compromising yourself. And the number one duty in compliance is that you are to know your customer and know your customer's customer. Okay, KYC. All right, so you will be able to point out the desirable customers from the non-desirable ones. All right, and ensure that you get a good portfolio of business-minded persons who will help accelerate your career. All right, so you could have 100 customers and just one could shut down an entire bank, right? So you want to be careful of those undesirable customers. So very good that you're here. Deshaun Rogers.
Hi, good night. My name is Deshaun Rogers. I work at a trust company in the corporate department, so I'm a corporate administrator. I am interested in compliance, learning more, and hopefully a career in it as well.
Okay, excellent. So you're in the right place. And like I said, this will definitely help you to decide if you're on the right career path. So welcome. Anthony Munnings.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Munnings. I'm a former drug dealer. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, but
Criminal
I'm a
minds. We love the
specialist.
criminal minds.
I'm currently a specialist educator at a private school. I have I don't have any idea what I'm doing here, but I just think it's time for me to dominate something else. I've won numerous awards as a teacher, as a specialist educator. I am currently pursuing my MBA with a specialization in leadership and innovation. So I figured since I've dominated teaching, let me move on to something else.
Okay, that's excellent, excellent. And it's good that you conquered that and you now know it's time to conquer something else. So we're here to help you, Anthony, and we wish you all the best. All right. Janelle Brown.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm Janelle Brown. I currently work at Oak Tree Medical Center as a billing assistant. So for me, this is more of a career shift.
Okay.
And I know that this is a lot of work, but I am very interested. And what really made me more interested is like when you're watching all the shows like Scandal and you watch how things get caught based off of doing certain auditing and maybe a little bit of hacking or so forth. But I am interested in learning more about compliance. This is a bit new for me. Um, I didn't know much about it until I was referred to the course, so I am excited about it. I'm excited to learn a lot.
Okay, so Janelle, no fear that you're not in the financial services sector. I've had persons here from the pharmaceutical association. Again, we have those very special African people that give us some medicines without the prescription, and so they came here to learn how to ensure that they lock down on us. I can't teach you all how to close out our good African tools, save us all that money that we spend at the doctor. But they came and they found it beneficial. They went all the way to ICA and they run the pharmaceutical, making sure that it's compliant. The other day there was a gas line in Russia that got hacked and they called in the compliance professionals to put controls in place to safeguard that pipeline so that they weren't able to get hacked again because the hackers demanded, I think it was $5 million. And then we had some, cannabis is going to be our new industry. And so we had a few people from agriculture come and say, listen, we have to protect the cannabis industry. We already have a problem where, you see some connects on somebody tree, they just go pick it, or a mango hanging over in the road, you just go pick that mango, and the farmer's always complaining. How do we safeguard this cannabis? What controls do we put in place to protect the cannabis industry? So if we have a field, the boys don't go just pick the buds off the tree and be like, oh, well. And so, yeah, so have no fear. Like I say, compliance is relevant to many other industries outside of financial service. All right. So hopefully you'll leave here full and be able to, you know, help in the medical field to ensure that they remain compliant. All right. I'm just gonna say Aubrey. I don't want to mess up this beautiful first name. So Ms. Aubrey.
No problem. Good evening. It's pronounced Quinalise.
Okay.
So I work at Fidelity Bank. I'm the business development officer, and I have a background. My bachelor's degree is in business economics. So I deal with compliance on a day-to-day basis in terms of interacting with them, but I just would like to learn more about the process because it's always been something that I'm interested in.
Okay. All right. Again, like I told Michael, you don't want to ever compromise yourself to make those sales, and sometimes those sales targets aren't realistic. So definitely you will leave here knowing how to get the right information about your client and making sure you know, generate a good portfolio. Okay. So welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, guys. So thank you for sharing. Networking, like I say, we live in a culture where it's who you know, right? And so at the end of this class, all of you are going to be qualified. So know the right people, right? The movers and shakers in corporate Bahamas. And so we want to get our names out there and make sure we know the right people. And so we also want to help each other and we want to work together to make sure that everybody is successful in the class. So I do recommend a WhatsApp group. Many of students find it helpful. They share ideas, they share examples, they share newspaper clippings. But I will give you till the end of class and just somebody remind me if we want to put together a WhatsApp group just so y'all can leverage off each other. And again, some of you may be going on that journey all the way to ICA. So, and you know that right now, right? Even though you don't know how much Miss Bullet is talk, you know that right now that I have a goal and I need to get to ICA. You're gonna need some encouragement. All right. And so I hope you were listening to the persons who said I'm on that journey. And definitely, if we don't start this WhatsApp group, I want you to network with each other just to keep each other encouraged. All right. It really, really makes a difference. All right. So at the end, somebody please remind me that we could generate the WhatsApp group. Now, Miss Bullet is not in the WhatsApp group because I would be in 100 WhatsApp groups, right? But it's just for you to work amongst yourselves, study together, help each other, and make sure that nobody gets discouraged. We starting with what 13? We want to end with 13 strong, right? All right. So I'll check back at the end of class. All right. Are there any questions before we start? No? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Feel free to interject and if let me know if you have any questions. So I will share my screen now and I will put up the introduction sheet, and this is how you successfully complete this course. Because again, like I said, we have 13 and 13 strong. We want our goal is that everybody will be successful at the end of this 5 weeks. Now, before you blink, the 5 weeks is going to be over. What I found is that most persons are not successful because they are overwhelmed. Life is be life in. It's very tough. We live in a culture where we feel weak if we ask for help. So we never ever ask for help. Right? And so if you plan to be successful in any course that you take, you need to ask for help. And it requires time. So I would say at least 4 to 5 hours per week outside of this 3 hour class time you need to devote to this course and studying and reviewing and perhaps listening to the recordings. You will find that whatever Miss Bullet says, like there's no surprises. I don't go off track. I don't try to confuse you. Is exactly what will be for homework, for exams, for quizzes, for whatever we have. All right. So really, and it sounds very remedial, and people don't ever take me seriously until they get into the hot water, but you need help. All right. It's very difficult to go to work and to stay focused in school and listen to Miss Bullet talk for 3 hours. All right. So what I would ask all of you is to just be a little organized, look at your schedules, speak to your officers and say, listen, I have a class on Wednesdays. Can I get off at 4 o'clock? Just so I'm not rushed. I don't have to fight the traffic. If I have to pick up kids, I can pick them up. If I have to cook, I can cook. You know, a lot of times persons are distracted in the class. They watching the news. The baby is sitting on the lap. Um, they cooking all sorts of stuff. You won't be successful if you have that amount of distraction. So please find a room with little interruption that is quiet that you could first unwind and then digest all this information. Because what happens is we talk for 3 hours and tomorrow nobody could even tell me what I say. If I do a test and I say, Janelle, repeat what Miss Bullet just said, Janelle will be like, Miss Bullet, say that again. Right? So we really want some uninterrupted time. Um, at my office, I have somebody doing a law degree. Their classes are on Tuesday. We allow them to take their lunch hour and we allow them to get off at 4. Now, everybody doesn't work at an office like that, but you all are future leaders. And so know now what you need to put in place for your staff when you become the CEO of your organization. And start right now by asking, expressing how difficult it is, expressing that you need some time just to focus. And after you would have spoken to your officers, then speak, please, to your families. If you pick up on Wednesdays, please say, allow me this time. Can somebody else pick up from school? Can somebody else cook? Can somebody else clean the house on Wednesdays? Just so that you're not overwhelmed. Because a lot of times people just be like, oh, Miss Bullet, I driving home. Oh, Miss Bullet, I doing this. And you won't be able, you got to fight the traffic. You may have to switch over in the lane and shout at some people. You won't be able to retain the information. All right? So please, like I say, get organized and ask for some help. And absolutely no babysitting during class. Because that seems to be the biggest issue. All right? The baby's on the laps. All right? Please get some help. And if you have a little niece, I don't want you to get into any debt, but get a little niece or a little nephew. Let them play with the children till you finish. $10 or $5, babysitting fee or something, just so you have that in a uninterrupted time. And then outside of class, perhaps on a weekend or a weekday, you need another day where you have that uninterrupted time. All right. And so there's a schedule. You already know the exam is on February 14th, and I advocated, I said, no, Valentine's Day is finally on a Saturday and you want to ruin it. And the office was adamant that, all the exams are going to be held on that day. So sometimes, depending on which course, you get 2 days study leave. Ask your office, what is the study leave time? And don't go to Miami. Go study and then go to Miami and enjoy your Valentine's. Anthony, go ahead.
Wanted to ask about that. Is it in person or is it still via Zoom?
No, it's in person.
Okay.
Wherever you would have received your book, Miss Dean will be expecting you at the Institute in person.
So Valentine's Day,
On
that
Valentine's, could you believe it?
is
I sorry,
crazy.
Anthony. I sorry.
All right.
Yeah, but if any of you need to change that date because you already have plans or what have you, please speak to Miss Dean and she'll arrange it. Luckily, it's at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, so by 12 o'clock you could start Valentine's. All
Oh,
right?
that's beautiful.
Yeah, 12 o'clock is yours. All right. Very good. So again, like I say, speak to your offices, see if they allow a study leave, and normally the normal study leave is like 2 days for this course at this level. All right. So let's look at everybody in Nassau, correct? Okay, everybody in Nassau, nobody on the outer islands. Okay, so let's just look as like I said, we want everybody to be successful. All right, and so the homework is 20% of your final grade. So overall, the passing grade is 70%. All right, and that may seem a little high, but this is a high level course. This is specialized area of the financial services sector, just like trust is a specialized area. So is compliance and like governance and those type of executive positions, specialized areas of the bank. So they are like 400 level courses. And so 70% is the passing mark, but I don't want you to be alarmed. Um, you can get 30% before you even get into the exam. So you can sit comfortably in the exam, not trying to say I need 70% on this test, but you possibly would go into the exam with 30 points and be almost halfway there, at least a quarter way there, right? And say it says you may complete all the questions. So these 4 questions are past exam questions, right? And so you can complete all. However, you only submit one for a grade. You could submit the other ones if you want feedback or if you want to discuss just 30 minutes between 6 and 6:30. You can say, Ms. Willard, I attempted question 2. Let me know your thoughts and we'll go over it just to make sure you answer the question properly. You will find that there's an overload of information in compliance, right? And so you have to scale it down. When you go to policies and procedures, you will see that they're like 100 pages, right? And so you need to scale it down and get the meat out of that policy and that procedure to be able to answer these questions. And then a lot of times these questions have 2 and 3 parts. So you want to make sure that you put in the part that will give you points. All right. So one essay is to be submitted. Normally persons get between 70% and 100. Once you don't get below 70%, that's your grade. If you get below 70%, I normally give you the opportunity to redo it. But this part is open book, so really people tend to get between 70 to full points on this homework. All right, so it's an easy 20% to get. There's no way you could pass the course if you don't do your homework. All right, so please arrange some time to do your homework. So it says each essay should be typed in standard essay form. Again, some people may need a refresher. If you got your degree in 1999 and you still confused about MLA and AML or however you write essays, please take English 119. All right, especially the people who are going on the journey all the way to ICA, you literally lose 20 or 30% because of formatting, all right, and not proper structure in the essay. So there's nothing wrong with taking a refresher. Go ahead, Anthony.
Sorry about that. Just had one more question.
Go ahead.
Is it MLA format or APA, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. No, it
Okay.
doesn't matter. If you were in an English class, it would matter, but with me, it doesn't matter.
All
All
right.
right. But again, one of the attachments is the ICA booklet, and we want to start early with the ICA booklet. Where's the hold on 1 second. Is it this? No. Okay, so for those who are going on the journey, definitely this matters. But I don't take off points right now, but I want you to get in the habit of quoting and acknowledging and citing properly. And so in part 3, it talks about referencing and citing, or they changed the pages, so it's now from page 12 to 18. So before you write the essay, again, this book has 40 pages, right? You don't need to read. You could read all of that in your spare time. But I want you just to read part 3, which talks on referencing and citing, because like I say, at the ICA level, you could lose 20 or 30 points, right? So start to practice the way they cite, how they write their appendices and what they do. All right. And that will guide you. So that's what that attachment is. What does it say? It says standard essay format, introduction, body, and conclusion, Word or PDF. Please don't send me an email. Persons have been sending me emails. 1 second for me, please. Hi, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. So, um, it says see pages 7 to 13, but we just looked. The new version is from 12, pages 12, and it talks about the citing and referencing for further instructions. Please avoid copying and pasting. Miss Bullet done read a million stories, a million essays, and a lot of times people go use AI to write the entire essay, or they go to a policy at their office and just copy and paste it. Um, please read the policy at your office and then write it in your own words. Please read a piece of a body of work and then put it in your own words, because this is what we are checking for comprehension. We want to make sure that you comprehend, okay? And so I will know, and then even some words and the way it's cited, people just copy all the citation, copy it, or let AI do it. And I can tell you that in this type of course, you will not be successful because, again, compliance requires you to do research and then make a decision. And unless you can let AI make that decision for you, you have a really hard time. And so at the ICA level, they do have a system that's called Turnitin, right? And Turnitin will tell you 5% of your essay was taken from this place, 10% was copied from another student. What happens in our WhatsApp groups is somebody puts an article, and I get 10. If everybody answer number one, and whatever article in that WhatsApp group, everybody talking about that one article, that one case. All right. In that WhatsApp group, that is just for you to have a reference to say, hey, this is the type of case that is applicable to question one. But nobody ever goes and does the work. Nobody goes and does the research. Whatever article in that or somebody share or talk about, that's it. The whole entire class is used that one. All right. But again, that's just for you to reference so you can have an example. All right. Um, Late submissions will not be accepted because there are 4 questions. Each one has a due date. If you're busy and you can't get to question 1, then do question 2, then do question 3. Question 4, a lot of people don't do well in. And again, we would have gone through the 5 weeks and you would not know if you and Miss Bullet speaking the same language. All right. So try to get questions 1, 2, or 3. A lot of people take a stab at question 1 because right after this first course, you gonna know what Miss Bullet talking about. A lot of people just jump up about Miss Bullet, I hear you. Let me see if me and you speaking the same language. Some people wait for 2. I am, like I say, the class will be over by the time you do question 3 and 4, right? And you won't have sufficient time to know that if you're speaking knowledgeably to the topic. All right, but it's just a recommendation. It's really, really up to you and when you're available. All right, so please, yeah, send it to my email at 11:59. Don't send me a Dear John letter. Don't ask me at 101 or 12:01 if you could. No, the same thing with ICA, and which we're practicing for is this. They have a submission portal. When that portal closes, it closes. All right, so we want to get discipline in our submissions. And so these are all past exam questions. Are there any questions about the 20% or the homework and what needs to be done? No?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And I feel like I say afterwards, when you sleep on this or when you think about this again, that's fine. All right. So like I said earlier,
Miss Bullet,
participate. Yes.
sorry, I just
Mhm.
wanted for clarification because I know you're saying we're doing all 4 questions.
Mm,
That's a part of the homework, but we only submit one for a grade.
mhm.
So we just have to let you know which one we want to be graded, basically.
Yeah, whatever you submit is what will be graded.
Because
So
I know
just
you
submit one.
oh, just one, but we
Yeah.
still have to do all.
No, you don't have to do,
Okay,
you only have to do one.
but these
You
are the
only have to
deadlines on the
submit one.
side of it. I see,
Right,
say Tuesday, January 13th.
right.
Okay,
Depending on
Oh,
which one you select. So
okay,
just do one, but I'm just recommending that if you do number 1, look at question 2 and make sure you can answer it. Look at question 3, make sure you can answer it. Look at question 4, make sure you can answer it.
okay. And that's just the deadline for depending on which one we decide. That's the deadline for it.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, excuse
Okay.
me.
Yes.
Um, do we have to let you know which one, or we could just send it anyway?
Yeah, once you send it to my email, I will that's the one that's going to be graded.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Okay. All right.
Sorry, another question about the questions. I noticed, okay, imagine the due dates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so let's say, for example, I want to do question 4. So I have to wait until the due date to submit it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, because it's normally marked and cross-marked, and then we send out the grades.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. And so we don't want to send out the grades and send it out to you, and persons have not completed it yet. You
Okay.
see? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So participation is 10% of your final grade. It requires attendance, participation, and research. As compliance professionals, we keep abreast of our community, what's happening within country, and so we read the newspaper every day. All right, we read the newspaper or we listen to the news. And this is the business section of the newspaper. We also subscribe to Bahamas Financial Services Board, Central Bank of the Bahamas, Bahamas Association of Compliance Officers, BACO. You can now sign up as a student. You have to submit your resume. There's an application, and you could send that into the office to Miss Dean, and she can tell you how to sign up. There's the Securities Commission, there's the Financial Action Task Force, and any other applicable site. So let me just show you how to sign up. And again, whomever is your regulator, you should be following your regulator. So if you're a bank, it's the Central Bank of the Bahamas, and their websites. Let me show you. So you just go to Google and you put in Central Bank of the Bahamas. You click on their website and you see how expansive it is, and all their functions and what their objectives are, their history, governance, the structure. And you click on like latest news. Like as a compliance professional, one of my audit checks from the central bank is that I'm disseminating information from the regulator throughout my organization. So let's look at the latest news. So John Rule was reappointed as the governor. Um, Registration of qualified executive entities. Oh, I need to look at that. Registered stock or a literacy. Okay. So if there was like a new policy or procedures. So every morning, one of my tasks as the MLRO is to look at the latest news, look at the latest publications, and the central bank would, when they come in to do their check, they will say, we sent out the bank opening survey report in December 2024. Show us where you would have disseminated this through your organization. And if I didn't disseminate it, I could get an audit note. All right. Again, the bank lending conditions survey. They say, show us where you send this to credit. Show us where you send this to the sales department. And if I say, well, I haven't sent it, then I can get an audit note. All right. So, like I say, spend some time each day on your regulator's site. What you do is you scroll down all the way to the bottom, and right in this, you enter your email address. And so you would get their mail and it comes directly to your email each day. So you don't necessarily have to go on their sites, because imagine being in the compliance department. Sometimes you're duly regulated. You have to go to the FIU site, the Securities Commission site, the central bank site, all these different sites. So what you do is you just subscribe and you get everything into your email each day, and then you disseminate it depending on who the information is relevant to. All right. So that's the central bank. If the Securities Commission is your regulator, then again the Securities Commission has a excellent site as well. Very Why would that come up for the Securities? Okay. Yeah, very detailed, a lot of training information, all of the like an annual report for 2024. The latest news are right here. Any investors alert or notices for like all the hacking and scamming that's going on. They have this media department. They have speeches and publications, on various speeches that they had um throughout the years. They have a newsroom. They have training. So you could look at past training, like I think it was Miller who said he works, you can make sure you are up to date with the latest on the DARE Act, and this is the latest industry update, or they may have other information, so you'd follow them to keep abreast to make sure that you're aware of what's happening. All right. And to the Securities Commission, even though you may be a bank, the Securities Commission is the fintech hub for the Bahamas. So that means they regulate all of the new technology. So all of the cryptocurrency, our digital asset that is not cryptocurrency, which is the sand dollar. What else? Crowdfunding. And we saw we had a lot of issues with Arawak and crowdfunding. So make sure that you are following the fintech hub, because everything to do with uh like I say, cyber and technology and everything is managed by the Securities Commission. So you want to make sure that you're up to date with debit cards, with AI, with all the threats and all the laws. So it's fintech, and then there's RegTech, is the policies and procedures that protect the fintech technology. All right. So what you do is you send an email and just say, I wanna follow the fintech up, so you get the latest up to date um things regarding innovation. And I always use what is it? There's a Symphony Alliance. No, the name Symphony Alliance, but there is Michael. Um he came from Royal Bank. Oh, Symphony Financial. He has a robot doing sales, right? And as the compliance department would have to find out what are the threats, what are the risks associated with using this robot to book sales. Michael, you familiar with that? Robert Pantry?
No.
Okay, so there you go. So when Royal Bank come and say, Michael, do you use this robot? You have to sit with compliance and tell compliance what's the risk, right? What's the risk associated with, with sales and credit? And then compliance will say, well, okay, around the world they've been using AI and robots. This is the risk, and then they are going to put controls in place, and you have to make sure that you could carry out those controls so that you protect your institution against the risks associated with generating sales through this robot. Right? And here it is, you just want to be a salesperson and this credit person. And now that's how sales and credit has evolved. Right? So stay ahead. You don't want to be shocked when they come tell you, but this robot, you'll be like, a robot, But that's how far the world has advanced. All right. So definitely, I don't want you to say, oh, I lie in sales. That don't have nothing to do with me. Yes, if it already in the Bahamas, everybody else soon jump on board. What's the risk associated with the ATMs? What's the risk associated with AI answering the phone? AI pinning cards, right? So be abreast. Be abreast, all right? So send that email to make sure that you follow the FinTech Hub. All right. So yeah, and that would cut down the amount of research you have to go and do each day. All right. So each day you read the newspaper and you come and you share with the class. And for the first 30 minutes, that's what we do. We talk about what's happening in the business section. and what's happening in our financial services sector, what we could do to assist or to bring awareness, and so that we know how to protect ourselves within our institutions. Because what I am seeing in the industry is a lot of people are just not aware. They're simply not aware of the risk. All right. And then I always give extra 5% for networking. And so you attend Toastmasters, Rotary, and Kiwanis, and you come and you share with the class. And again, networking, again, I spoke on that earlier. This is where the movers and shakers in the financial services sector, that's where they hang out. They ain't at the dockhead in Kong Solid. They in, downtown. They into the club. They are these civic organizations. So immerse yourself, get out there, talk to people, put your name out there, get to know the right people. All right. And once you come back and share with the class, you will get that 5%. Um, and that 5% is the difference between, for the scholars who need that A, 85 and 90. And for the people who scrapping for every point, 65 and 70. And so students are very enthusiastic and they go group themselves together. They use the WhatsApp group and they say, hey, let's meet the Rotary on this day. Let's meet the Kiwanis on that day. And they always find it beneficial. So if any of you already are part of one of those groups, by all means, please invite us so we could sit comfortably in the exam with 30%. All right. And then we talked about the final exam, 70% of your final grade. It's on February 14th. Apologies again for Valentine's Day, but it's 50 in multiple choice and 7 essay questions. All right. So a lot of writing of detail. Now, it won't be 1,000 or 1,200 words. Again, when you get to ICA requires you to write 2 essays on the AML side and 2 essays on the compliance side. Each essay has to be 3,500 words minimum. So this is a guide. If you can't write 1,000 words without copying and pasting, then you know the scene for you. All right. So that's a guide not to go to the next step, but you will know that at the end of the 5 weeks. All right. And like I say, once you get into the flow of things, you will find that a lot of information is relevant and you could put it together to get to your 1,000 words. When you get in the exam, it's handwritten. So it's 1 page that you'll have to write on each of these topics. All right. Any questions? We know how to successfully complete this course. Okay, silence gives consent. All right, so let me know. Like I say, feel free to interject at any point and just let me know your thoughts. All right, and so today, at the end of this course, you should be able to answer question 1. So please, nobody leave without being able to answer question 1. So question 1 just says, discuss how money is laundered at the placement stage. All right. And that is due for next week, Tuesday. And like I say, after we have the discussion, a lot of people take a stab at it. And some people want to wait because, again, it's kind of cloudy in the beginning. And then by week 3, the light bulb has come on fully and we be on the same track. All right. So just let me know how it works for you and no pressure. Okay. So that's the instruction sheet. And the last attachment is the central bank guideline. Again, because is my background is in banking. I attach the central bank guidelines. So basically, central bank is the oldest regulator. And so what you will find is that a lot of the other regulators, they leverage off the central bank's guidelines and they just take the parts that are applicable. All right. So with any body of work, the very first thing you need to look for or look at is the date. And as we can see at the top, it says April 6, 2023. You need to ensure 100% that that's the most current copy, because a lot of times we write policy based on outdated policy and procedures. So you must always ensure that you have the most current copy, and this is the most current copy. And it says guidelines for supervised financial institutions. And throughout this guideline, you will see they refer to the banks as SFIs, supervised financial institutions, on the prevention of money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism, and we use that interchangeably, or terrorism financing, countering terrorism financing, and then proliferation financing. So that's where you will see the acronym AML, CFT or CTF, and PF. All right. And so as we scroll down, we look at the table of contents. And basically, when we get to chapter 3, we'll talk more about this in depth. But what happens is there's international law, and each country is required to put the laws in place from the international law. So there's an international body, the Financial Action Task Force, the OECD, the Wolfsburg Group. And what they do is they come up with principles and laws, the Basel Committee, and each country is expected to put those laws into place. Once they put it into Bahamian law, you need the King James, it's like the King James version of the Bible. You need an interpreter, right? And so um, each regulator locally, the central bank, the Securities Commission, the gaming board, the insurance commission, they all have a guideline that is in layman's terms supposed to be for you to follow to carry out your everyday work. Your institution is supposed to copy your regulator's table of contents and create their own AML, anti-money laundering directive. All right. And so each of you should have a copy of your personal, to your business or to the institution that you work for, their AML directive on hand. You should sign each year that you are aware of the AML policies and procedures for your institution. All right. And then you should have a copy of your regulator's AML policy on hand as well. All right. Because when the police comes, the only thing we can do is speak knowledgeably to policy and procedure, because the hackers and scammers are smarter than us. We can have all the controls in place, but they still infiltrate our institutions. So therefore, we must be aware of what does the law say? What does the policy say? Right? And so it should be a copy of what your regulator says. Now, the only difference should be that if you don't offer a power of attorney, then you could miss out the power of attorney. If you don't offer foundations, then no need for that to be in. But if you do offer a service and you do not see it in your company's AML policy, that means that is a gap. All right, that needs to be updated. All right, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
You're sure? You're very, very quiet. You're very, very quiet. All right, Sheena, do you have a copy of your company's AML directive at your desk? Sheena, you going? All right, Sheena, you need no
Sorry, no, ma'am.
Oh, oh, I wonder what just happened. Go ahead, tell Miss Willis. Your answer is no?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so what you could do tomorrow?
Do what you said.
Go get it, right? You don't sign and say you acknowledge receipt of it and you have a copy and you understand what it say, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when the police come and they show you that you acknowledge and you don't even have it, what you think happen?
That would be a problem.
Okay, so just make sure you get it. All right. Very good, Sheena. Thank you for being brave and honest. Thank you. All right, so make sure so you understand the principles that you are and the policies of your institution and what they say that they commit to, because these things all show up in court. And when audit comes and inspectors come, this is what they audit you based on what your policy says. And a lot of times, Sheena, you're the only one. People sign and acknowledge I have a copy. They never read it. They don't understand the risks associated with their jobs, and they just go about their day. And when the hackers and scammers infiltrate, they can't even speak knowledgeably to what the policy says because they don't know. They don't know. Okay, so make sure you're not one of those persons, because the only way for you not to go to jail is because you could speak knowledgeably to it. All right, because we see hackers at the ATM. We see all of this these scammers every day at Commonwealth and Bank of the Bahamas. Money is being moved almost every day at CIBC. Money is being moved. We seeing that every day in the papers, right? Right, Sheena?
Yes.
And so who has to speak to that? Who has to speak when the police comes in to Sheena and say, Sheena, this is an account in your portfolio. What happened with this customer? Who is this customer? Would you even know? Would you even know how to explain the policy? No, right?
No, ma'am.
Right. And so then they can start investigating you. All right. So to avoid that, you have to be aware of the risks. You have to be aware of the controls. You have to be aware of the policies. All right. So have them, and then schedule some time to read them so you understand. Because a lot of times we carry out our position based on what we were taught, and from Miss Bullet, who been in the bank for 20 years. And Miss Bullet never read a policy, so she exactly ain't training you the proper way. All right. And then a lot of times people say, oh, it's Miss Bullet. We know what the policy say, but that's not what we used to. You're still going to jail, Sheena. All right. And some people got to go to jail. So make sure it ain't you. All right. So make sure you have that on your person and you know what it says. All right. Okay. So let me just give you a little history. And then we'll jump straight into chapter 1. And again, another guide with the book is an intro, chapter 1 and 2. They have about 2 to 5 pages, right? If you have a struggle reading those 2 to 5 pages, don't go to intermediate. Intermediate have 6 to 7 pages per chapter, and there are 10 chapters, and intro is 8 chapters. In ICA, it's 70 pages per chapter. All right. So if you have a struggle with the little 2 to 5 pages, then you know this course is not for you. All right. So all of these are little tips on how to guide yourself. All right. And then you may be in Miss Bullet's position. This course ain't for me, but I don't have no choice. I have to do it. So, grin and bear it and go through it. But these are the how you test yourself if compliance is truly for you. All right. So just a 5-minute history. Royal Bank has said, they've been around for 115 years, Scotiabank for 65 years, right? So for 115 years, they had sales, they had HR, they had credit. However, they did not have compliance, all right? And so compliance is just 25 years old. So just becoming an adult, all right? And everybody just learning all the rules, all the policies and the procedures. So the whole entire Bahamas is on a learning curve. However, the international regulators are on our back, and so the local regulators are on our backs in the financial services sector, right? And we have to make sure that everybody is administering or buying into the compliance culture. All right, so I don't know if you all remember back in 2000, the FATF came out with 40 recommendations, and I'll just pull up the FATF site so you can just have a visual and be like, okay, I understand what Miss Bullet talking about. Okay, so this is an international regulator. We'll dive deep into international regulators in chapter 3. All right, and so you can see that there have been changes and changes and changes with these 40 recommendations. So they came out with 40 recommendations and says, again, last updated October 25. So let's just look at these recommendations, right? And so these are the 40 recommendations. And you can see the different topics, policies and AML, CFT policies and coordination, money laundering and confiscation, terrorist financing and financing of proliferation, preventative measures. And so all of these 40 recommendations, the international regulator wanted the Bahamas to put it into law, right? And so, but the Bahamas at this time, let's think all the way back to the year 2000. In the year 2000, the Bahamas was a tax haven, right? And so putting in these 40 recommendations into law would mean that everybody, all our clients who came to us to avoid taxes in their country would go to jail, right? And so therefore, the Bahamas had to take like a staggered approach to these recommendations. We couldn't just put them into place. And so back in 2000, we say, okay, we hear you. We could pick some of these 40 and we could put them into place. And so we put them into Bahamian law, and then the regulators put it into a guideline. We followed that guideline and implemented in our institution. So there was a lot of things that we did before that we could no longer do. All right. And hence how compliance was born. Because once those regulations went into law, the regulators now have to enforce them and check to make sure that the banks are following those laws and are compliant with those laws. All right. So one thing is, we lost 17% of our GDP putting those laws in place because laws are very expensive, and essentially laws mean that Uncle Sam is going to get his tax dollar, right? And so a lot of organizations shut down. A lot of the organizations said, I simply cannot afford to pay a compliance officer $60,000, $70,000. They need $1 million system. They need a whole department to man based on how many customers we have. So a lot of banks closed down for the first time. A lot of functions were outsourced, and a lot of people, a lot of organizations said, but we simply can't afford it, right? And so there's been a pushback with being compliant because compliance makes no money for the business, but it helps the business to stay secure, to not be hacked or scammed, and to avoid penalties and being shut down, right? So you would find that in a lot of organizations, they just thinking about the bottom line. How are we gonna make this money? And so they invest most of their money into sales, and they forget about compliance because compliance really ain't gonna make no money for the business. All right. And so that's why it's been a pushback. And then imagine you having a $10 million client and telling that client that, well, this product that we offer you is too high risk now. We can no longer offer this to you. That client taking his money and going to another jurisdiction. So there's a lot of pushback and a lot of trying to work around um, um, being compliant and bringing in the sales, right? And so as a sales professional, one of the things we say, there's nowhere in the world you could go and not have to follow the KYC, the know your customer rules. There's nowhere in the world you could go, no financial institution that's not going to do due diligence on you. All right. There's no workaround. And thankfully, most countries are on board now. But for a very long time, the Bahamas became, we were not compliant, we were gray listed, then we were blacklisted again. And then finally, we are the third country to put 40 out of 40 recommendations in place. All right. And whilst we have that 40 and it's a good accomplishment, it affects our GDP. We lose a lot of money. People are in other countries simply because we no longer offer a product or service. All right. So it's been a battle. So what we're essentially trying to do is now balance compliance with sales, because if there's no sales, then we don't need no compliance. And if the sales people run amok and just open accounts for anybody, then the whole company could shut down. All right. So you have to find a way to balance it. So anyway, we are the third country in the world to put 40 out of 40 recommendations in place. That was in 2022. We lost 17% of GDP. Banking and financial services is our second sector, which is supposed to be 20% of our GDP. However, we are trying to, that's why we came and made all the cryptocurrency laws. This is why we increased our leverage so the fintech businesses could pop up, and we made it more attractive for them to come here to try to sustain the economy and I guess piece back together our second way we make money in the Bahamas, right? And so that's where we at. Like I said, it's been a staggered approach because basically you can't just take out the second industry and then where's the money going to come from? How are we going to sustain the country economically? And so, um, yeah, we have done our best. We've done better than a lot of countries. That's all I could say because, like, I have a colleague in Switzerland who said before these 40 recommendations, we had 250 banks and trust companies. 200 close out after, only 50 remain, so it has a big effect, and then it's expensive. It truly is expensive. All right. So, in the compliance department, the most senior person is normally the money laundering reporting officer. And in order to become that, the institution can normally hires you as a compliance officer. There's a fit and proper requirement that you have to meet, meaning you have to have 3 to 5 years, you have to have ACAMS or ICA. You have to send your resume into the central bank. You have to give a bank statement because they want to know if you are $5 now. When FTX shut down and $32 billion missing, you still only have $5. They want to know where you live. They go and talk to your neighbors. And they do like a full background check to make sure that you are fit and proper. If you want to be the MLRO at the gaming board or one of the number houses or the casinos, the gaming board have a 66-page document. If you divorce, they want your divorce papers, they want your fingerprints, they want all your children birth certificates, your ex-husband birth certificate, all kind of foolishness. All right. So from now on, because of course we all want to be at the top position in the institution, and so keep one account separate so you could give them that history on that account. Treat your neighbors right, and please don't get in these different um controversies when it comes to opening accounts and people not being credible because a lot of persons compliance normally approves that account, and if you know that this is not a fit and proper person, then don't sign for that account to open. All right, so keep your slate clear so that you are not blacklisted and unable to become the MLRO. So once the regulator does that background check on you and you approve, then you go and register with the Financial Intelligence Unit, and then you become the person that they receive suspicious transaction reports from on behalf of, say, Royal Bank or Scotia or whatever institution you work for. All right, is that clear? A little bit of the history. Any questions? And so just like I said, credit was around, HR was around, finance been around for all these years. There's no manual for compliance. Literally, when you have to make a decision, you have to go and do research, and then you have to make a decision. And very hard for human beings to do. First, number one is read. Second is to make decisions. All right. So it's gonna the more you practice, the better you become at it. All right. And I don't want to like give you the doom and gloom report. It definitely is achievable. Miss Bullet been doing it for more than 10 years. You definitely could do it, you know? And so be encouraged. Don't be scared away. Know that there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the industry because, like I said, we're only 25 years, so we'll be immature yet. We're not nurtured yet. We're not grounded, but we have made a lot of progress. All right, and we have been better now at following most of the rules. And now we're learning that following the rules kind of wipe us out competitively, and so now we're trying to get back to being competitive. All right, so it's a work in progress. All right, so let's look at the book. Like I said, the book is eight chapters. At the back of the book, you will see an appendix that's on page 60. I may have a different version of the book. If you look at that appendix on page 60, you will see some questions that are the multiple choice questions. So in your spare time, you can practice those questions and make sure that you can answer those. And if not, like I say, within the first 30 minutes of class, you ask me those questions and let's go through them to make sure that we are all on the same page. Right after that, you will see some colored paper. And behind those colored papers is like case 1, case 2, case 3. They are excerpts from the internet. And again, more multiple choice questions, more readings that you could do to be aware. Next week, we will go through case 1. Hopefully tonight, we'll go through case 4 or 5. We'll just see how the time runs. But let me quickly run through case 1 and no, chapter 1, so we are all on the same page and we all understand with the book. So any questions on the book? No? You all sleep or you all wake?
No,
'Cause you all
ma'am.
be
No,
quiet.
ma'am.
You all sleeping.
We
You
up.
all gotta wake up and talk to Miss Bullet. All right. All right, let me try wake you all up. Let me try wake you all up. All right. So chapter 1, hopefully we'll get through chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 1 talks about money laundering, right? And there are 3 stages of money laundering. And those 3 stages are placement, layering, and integration. All right. And so placement, what happens is persons go out and commit a crime. And once they commit that crime, they then seek to place the money into the financial services system. Once that money is placed in the financial system, they try to distort the audit checkpoint. And so they don't want audit to be able to find out that, hey, this person really doesn't make this amount of money, and this has to be from criminal proceeds. So what they do is they may transfer some money to Mr. Miller, then transfer some money to BPL and transfer some money to pay a school fee. And so that's how they layer the money. So they commit the crime, they deposit it into the financial services sector. That's how it is placed. Then they try to distort the audit trail. And so they transfer it around. And once they would have transferred it, then they integrated back in the community. Because what happens once that transfer goes into BPL, that money is now washed. Once that money is placed into the financial services sector and deposited to that account, when you go back to withdraw it, that money has been cleaned. Now you go and pay your children's school fee, or you go and pay the children's school fee, and then the school then pays the teachers from that school fee which you would have paid, right? And so that's how the money is washed. All right. So is that clear about the 3 stages of money laundering? It's placement, it's layering, and then it's integrated back in the financial services system.
Can you explain the layering part again, Ms. Willard?
Okay, so again, layers are created then to distort the audit trail. So I won't be able to see where this money came from, right? And so I already placed it in the financial services sector, right? And in the financial services sector, there are normally thresholds. And if you go over a certain threshold, then you are normally called in and asked to declare the source of funds, right? And so I know normally the thresholds are normally $10,000. They ain't gonna question me if I transfer less than $10,000. They ain't gonna question me if I transfer less than $5,000. And so what I do is I transfer some money to Janelle, and then to Kevin, and then to Michael, all staying below a certain threshold, so I'm not questioned, right? In the offshore world, you will see that they will say this company is not owned by a person, but it's owned by another company, or this company is owned by a trust. So they say at the end of the day, we need 40% of our profits to go to the trust. We need 30% of our profits to go to the foundation. So layering, just transferring money just makes you tries to diminish the audit trail. So you cannot see that, okay, Miss Bullet go and put $100,000 in the bank. When you look initially at Miss Bullet account, only $50,000 there. Then you gotta see that Miss Bullet sent $10,000 to Sheena, 10,000 to Letitia, 10,000 to Michael, right? And you got to go investigate it. And in fact, that is happening right now, whereas a hacker hacked into CIBC. They stole $10,000, I think. It was in the newspaper. And they put 3,000 on Camille, 2,000 on Jacovia, 1,000 on Sheena. When they did the full investigation, they saw that it wasn't Camille that stole the money in the initial onset, but Camille gone to her account and see that 3,000 and say, "Oh, thank you, Jesus. God send me a blessing." And Camille spent that money. They was able to get the money back from Jacovia. They was able to get the money back from Sheena. Now, Camille wasn't the initial person that stole, but because she spent the money, it now they don't know if she in cahoots with the hackers and the scammers. So they was not able to find the hacker, so they bring Camille before the court. And really, the only thing Camille did was take the money off her account. All right. And so that is what is happening right now. And that's how the money is laid. All right. You do all sorts of transfers to make it difficult to see who initially stole the money. And you get all these people involved, 14 people involved. How we know if it's Michael? How we know if it's Joshua? All right. So any type of layering to distort the audit trail. All right. Is that clear?
And
Sorry?
just a question.
Uh-huh.
So they take me before the courts. How or what's the length? I guess they would go in investigations before they rule me out, or what happens at the end?
Well, they hope. See, the thing about it, they don't know if to believe you or not. Right? And so because you are not, you're saying honestly, I swear to God, this money show up on my account. I don't know where it come from. And they cannot find the original person who hacked into the bank. They could charge you with moving that money off your account, and they could prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law, whatever they could prosecute you with,
For what
until
money?
they find that person.
Money laundering. If it
Sorry,
Russian
Kevin.
Julius. Yeah, the
Kevin?
question I was kind of wanted to ask,
Uh-huh.
um, but I want to play back this class and it's tired, you get on the week. I'm able to do that, right?
Yes, yes. All the recordings will be sent. When the new link comes next week, the recording will be attached to it.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, right. Yeah, so that's what happens if they can't find the perpetrator, the original perpetrator. They are gonna prosecute you to the fullest extent because you did indeed move that money off your account. Jacovia didn't move it, Sheena didn't move it. But you moved it, so therefore, you know, You could be prosecuted, and then they don't know if you being honest and saying, I ain't hacked into the bank. They don't know that. You could be covering for the person that hacked into the bank. All right. That's where it's at. All right. So what does the book say? Money laundering is the process where criminals, if they are successful, they conceal the ownership and the origin of property from their criminal acts into the financial services sector. Criminal enterprises launder money so that it appears legitimate. As you will learn further in the course, the criminalization of such ill-gotten funds is to take the profit out of the crime by being able to discern, report proceeds of crime, and seize the property funds. Now, I can just tell you that financial crime is at, the last time I checked, it was at $3.6 trillion. All right, $1 trillion. All right. And so this financial crime is happening right in our financial services sector, right in the banks and the insurance companies and in the casinos. People are just not aware. All right. And so this course is to bring awareness, to be on the lookout, to help curb and stop this ever increasing financial crime from growing every single day. So criminals have access to the financial systems worldwide, which creates lots of opportunities to launder money. Internationally, globally, global efforts are being made to strengthen to ensure that each jurisdiction has effective legislation frameworks to prevent money laundering. All right, and throughout the book, there are different excerpts on what is money laundering, and you can go online and read up on them and look through them to go through the example process to ensure that you fully understand. So back to question one, placement is where cash is derived from criminal activity. It's infused into the financial system. Layering usually involves a complex system of transactions to design to hide the source and ownership of funds. Integration is the stage at which the laundered funds are reintroduced into the legitimate economy, appearing to have originated from a legitimate source. So in the layering, we pay a school fee. The school then pays the teacher. That now is legitimate money. All right. So money laundering occurs whenever there's an arrangement that involves the proceeds of another person's crime, or there's an arrangement that involves a person's proceeds of crime. So let me give you an example. When Miss Bullet, I started off with Royal Bank at Robinson Road and Key West Street. And we had a car wash guy out in the parking lot. And of course, we just referred to him as Yadi because we don't ever get these people government name. We don't ever put them through word check, and we don't know who we giving our car keys to every day. So as Yadi was cleaning cars, Miss Bullet said, Yadi, come inside. I say, you've been cleaning a lot of cars. You ready to open up an account? And he's like, yes, Miss Bullet. I ready to open up the car. I say, Yadi, how much money you could save? He's like, I could save $50 a week. And I was like, that's really good. We're really proud of you. And so we watched the account grow to 200 to 500 to $1,000. We was really, really proud of him. We made sure that we took our cars to him every week and to keep his account going, and we kept him encouraged. And one day, Yadi came and said, Miss Bullet, I want to come to your office. And so I was like, Yadi, what you want to come to my office for? I don't need my car cleaned. No, he said, Miss Bullet, I have something for you. So I let him into my office, and Yadi pulled out $10,000 out his pocket. And he said, Miss Bullet, you could be so proud of me. I do a little one too, and this my cut. And I say, I ain't gonna mess this up. I could bring this straight to you. And Miss Bullet, you see that $1,000 on my account? I saved that because I wanted to make you proud. So I want you to take $1,000 out this and buy you and the children something. And I want you to put this next $9,000 on my account. And I say, Yadi, where does money come from? And he said, Miss Bullet, I tell you, I do a little job on the side, but I ain't gonna mess it up. I put that on my account, and I want you to take the $1,000 for you. Okay, so I had to take that money. I had to deposit that money to Yadi account. I had to put that on hold, and I cry as I write up that suspicious transaction report form. All right. So that went to our MLRO. Our MLRO did an investigation and found that they were selling drugs right from the car wash in the backyard on Robinson Road and Key West Street. All right. And the police came and they investigated and they locked Yadi up right there. And they used that $10,000 that we had on hold as evidence. Because when he came into the bank and he established a profile, he said that he could only afford $50 a week, and we was able to confirm that. So where he get $10,000 from? Where? And that's why financial crime is completely out of control, because here is a relationship. Here is somebody who I encouraged to open up this account, and here is now me. I have to turn him over to the police. Right? That's what has happened, right? These people is be our cousins, right? And so we in a position where we don't know what to do. But if each of us do not do our part, to the sum of 3 point something trillion dollars is how financial crime is growing every day. All right. And another very popular case, um, at the Securities Commission. The car wash guy there, he was washing cars there for many years. And if they had gotten his name, they used to call him Yadi. And if they had gotten his full government name, they would have known that he was out on bail for an armed robbery when Royal Bank was in Spanish Wells. But again, we just call him Yadi. And he been there for 5 years, right? And so he was able to, it said car wash owner Jeremy Pindas allegedly been washing more than cars. Prosecutors say that 41-year-old laundered $850,000, the proceeds of a fraudulent Securities Commission check. Once the check cleared, Pinder allegedly moved $800,000 of the illegally obtained money to accounts outside the country, and he allegedly withdrew $49,600 from a local account. So here's this guy that they trusted. We give him our house keys every day, our car keys. They rummage through our stuff. They dumpster dive, and then they infiltrate us. All right. And like I said, if we had known his name was Jeremy Pinder, we may have put him through word check. We may have done a background check on him. And then we would have find out that this person is out on bail for robbing a bank. Would we allow him to open up a car wash at the Securities Commission? Letitia?
Nope.
Okay.
No,
All right.
ma'am.
All right. So a lot of us have these people, right? You all have a Yadi. You clean your car today, right? And Yadi clean your car today.
I just get my car clean today.
And had your house and car keys, right, Anthony?
No,
Because
no,
that's your
I know
boy.
better than that. Ice clean inside.
Oh,
But I
okay.
have a question though.
Uh-huh.
My question is, that works, I guess, dandy for, I guess, car washing. Well, well, I don't know what other examples you would pull up, but for me, I do music on the side, right?
Mhm.
And there are some bands and venues when you play out Life with Key and whatnot. Like it's little you could get like I've seen someone get tipped $5,000 for a good song or whatnot. I've seen that. And so like my question is how would compliance or the financial sector like attempt to regulate industries that aren't regulated or don't have like structure in place?
Well, again,
How would you guys like mitigate risk from those avenues?
you just put the structure in place. It starts with an association where persons bring to light the discrepancies or the advantages and the disadvantages, and says this has to be regulated. Just like the taxi cabs. If you don't have a road traffic person out there to control the taxi cabs people, they go out of control, right? They could jump the line, they go overcharge the people, all sorts of discrepancies, right? So it starts with somebody enforcing what the law says. And if there is no law, the association has to get together and say, these are the laws. You have to follow the rules. And if you don't follow the rules, this is the consequence. You get suspended. You get a fine. You know, something like that. So it really just has to be established. You know, and you got everybody to buy in and say, we agree that this a fair process. You know, it affects everybody. And most people will stand up for a fair process because they know that they are clicks, they are networks, they are, you know, we can't get our taxi to make a fair day, but we see Miss Bullet making 3 and 4 fares. Every time we need a taxi, Miss Bullet taxi must come. So the same thing in the music area. In the banks, there's a gifting policy because we don't want a conflict of interest. It says you cannot receive a gift over $100. And when you sign up to work for a financial institution, it's your duty to make sure you follow that policy. Now, a lot of people don't, but if you are found out, then you could be fired. So some people take the chance, some people don't. But you have to have some structure in place, some policy, some principles that everybody agree to, and that's how you establish it. And then you have to have an enforcer. Because there's no use writing a bunch of laws without somebody enforcing it. All right. So this is our next suspect that he helped steal this money as well. And not only did he help, this was one case. And then Elmer Chase Campbell and her son defrauded the Ministry of Tourism. He helped them with that as well. And this person was he had a, what should I call it, type of company? He used to clean the bathrooms and stuff like that, and a scent or like an air freshener type of company. And boy, the bathrooms and all the banks and all the insurance companies, they'd smell good. I used to be like, I really want to find out who cleaning these bathrooms because these bathrooms really smell good. All right. So this the person who was coming 7 o'clock in the night when you leave your desk open because it can't lock. You leave all the paper on top of the printer because the shredder been full. You ain't lock your screen. You leave your files all over the desk, and these people go and dumpster dive. All right. In fact, they don't even have to dumpster dive because, like I say, we leave the desk open, all the paper on the printer. We don't lock away nothing, and we trust these people, right? Because they come in every night. So he is the second suspect that helped defraud this Ministry of Tourism and the Securities Commission. All right, so you all need to pay attention to the clear desk policy. Stop giving the privacy officer a hard time. If your desk can't lock, get the locksmith in to fix it. If the shredder bin full, lock it away in the vault. If you print something, check the printer before you leave. All right, because like I say, this was only the fraud they caught them with. You don't, for years they've been going into all these banks, all these insurance companies, all these accounting firms. You don't know what else they steal and what else they do that the banks couldn't even bring to light. All right, so please help your institution to protect itself. All right, Miller, your jaw could lock. Where Miller? Not Miller. Kelly, your jaw could lock. You there? Don't come. Nuri, somebody answer Miss Bullet. Your jaw could lock at work?
Yes,
You all even
ma'am.
Yes,
have keys?
ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Lock,
Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Bullet.
You all let's
And lock
lock
right
it?
now.
Do you all lock it?
The
Yes,
door
Every
lock.
ma'am.
day.
I do.
The whole office lock.
Okay. You away from the cleaners, that the cleaners cannot infiltrate.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So protect yourself because you all know a lot of people who don't lock, right? And you all know a lot of people who leave that computer in the back seat and let them valet park, right?
Correct.
You have a Jeep and the bank, all the bank files, the bank computer and everything, and you valet parking, right? That's what we used to do, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's how they infiltrate us. All right. So please just be careful and be aware. That's the main thing is that persons just are not aware how they are infiltrated. And we don't take it seriously. shred the personal information. Do not share your passwords. When compliance come around, we mad, right? And so the book goes on to talk about predicate crimes, and it says the underlying predicate crimes for the purpose of money laundering laws are any crime that can give rise to unlawful obtaining of property, and they give some examples: fraud, theft, counterfeiting. Now, how to answer question one is, again, you give the definition of placement, and then you give a real life case, right? And so real life case for counterfeiting is the George Floyd case, right? George Floyd went into a convenience store and he bought some items, and the convenience store cashier felt like he had paid with a $20 note that was counterfeit. He subsequently called the police. The police came, and unfortunately, that turned into murder. All right. So that's a counterfeiting case. Then drug dealing. We have many, many, many drug dealing cases. Mike Nighty knows, the White Major, Carver Major, all these. Always there was somebody who pretended to be a lawyer to sneak drugs into the prison. In fact, our whole the commissioner of police resigned over um the head of the airport, the head of the defense force, the Archer guy, transporting drugs into the United States, right? So there are many, many cases. People trafficking. We had 17 people try to escape to Miami, and they all died right out there in the harbor the other day. Smuggling, tax evasion. So there are 22 crimes under money laundering. The latest crime is cybercrime. All right. So this is just a lesson. There's a very popular question on the exam too that asks you about a few crimes and to give cases. So ensure that you always have a case to bring your point. And like I said, that's how you answer question one. You speak on with the definition of placement. You say how they place the criminal funds into the system, and then you use a real life case to show that you comprehend. All right. And so then it goes on to talk about identified risks. So again, in terminology, predicate crimes are referred to as identified risks when you read the law. All right. And so on the exam, you may see that there are 22 identified risks under money laundering. And people, they mispull it. I don't know what an identified risk is, but that's what the law refers to it as. All right. And it again lists the various identified risks, and it tells you that you could be charged under any of these laws. All of these are in Bahamian law, right? And you could have an offense under the Prevention of Bribery Act. You could have an offense under the Proceeds of Crime Act, an offense under Anti-Terrorism Act. So you can end up with like 50, 60 charges. All right, when it comes to money laundering. And so in the Bahamas, when the FATF came in, and this is the international regulator for the 40 recommendations, when they came in 2018, their concern was that nobody had been charged with money laundering. All right, so persons had been charged with fraud, persons had been charged with counterfeiting, persons had been charged with drug dealing, right? And with fraud, you would only get 4 years. With fraud plus money laundering, you get 4 years for fraud, 15 years for money laundering. And so they was concerned that nobody had been charged. And they said, Bahamians just law-abiding citizens. Why have nobody been charged? But at the time, money laundering was not even on our books, in our laws, right? And so all of our laws were repealed and replaced and updated in 2018, and hence money laundering became a crime. And then the Attorney General immediately said there are 83 people charged with money laundering. And so now when you listen to the news and they say, oh, Ms. Bullitt was charged with theft by reason of employment, or stealing by reason of employment, and money laundering, corruption and bribery, and money laundering. All right? And because they are concerned that we put the law in place and it's not being enforced. All right. So basically, like I said, you could spend some time in chapter 1 and read more about money laundering. All right. And any questions? That's chapter 1. You all there?
Yes, ma'am, we good. I mean,
Okay.
I good.
Ma'am.
Yes,
No
ma'am.
questions. I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay. And again, sleep on it and just make sure that you understand. And like I say, some people feel comfortable now with answering question one. So if you feel comfortable, you can take a stab at it. Okay. Easy 10 points to get.
So that chapter one is basically section one.
Yeah, it's question one for the homework. Yes.
I mean on the table of contents, the section one, because I know it speaks on place or the same things you're speaking about.
Yeah, on placement. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know instead of having chapter, they have section.
Okay. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah. All right. So now let's talk about chapter two, which is understanding terrorism. And we're gonna need a volunteer. Now, who wants to get their points right up front? Because y'all, I want to wake y'all up and I want to make sure y'all
How much points? How much points we talking?
Anthony, enough, Miss Bullet ain't gonna never forget you till the end of the class. I can call on you for everything. You being Miss Bullet volunteer?
No, mom.
Miss Bullock will
Anthony,
be volunteering
you can
for
break my
to
Anthony.
read it.
Think about that. Anthony, just crush me, just bring me up and kick me right down, Anthony.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it. Only
Thank
because you
you,
asked.
thank you, thank you,
Only
thank
because
you,
you asked.
Aubrey and Duncan for coming to my rescue. All
No
right, so
problem.
What am I volunteering to do though?
to read case 5.
Oh,
Look at the back.
we're in the book?
Yeah, we're in the book. We didn't get to that yet. I can let you know when to read it though. Let me just give you an intro on chapter 2 and I'll let you tell you
Alright.
when to read. You have a case 5?
I'm gonna go get my book right now.
Okay, go get your book. Go, y'all check for me, Michael. Y'all have case 5 or case 4? Look at the colored paper at the back of the book.
I have case 5. How do
And
I
there's somebody
terrorist
that,
finance their attacks?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And somebody pushing like a gurney.
Yeah.
I got ambulance. Okay, yes, case 5 then. Okay, good.
No, I don't have the book as yet.
Oh, okay, okay. Make sure get the book. All right. All right, so this just says, what is terrorism? And again, we want to go back to look at the welcome note. And we want to see what question 2 says. And we want to ensure when we finish this chapter, we can discuss the objectives of terrorists and describe 3 ways in which they fund their activities. All right, that's question 2. We want to make sure that we can do that. There we. Anthony, reach back here. No. Okay, so let me just give you an overview.
Miss Bullet, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, hold on.
I'm here, by the way.
Hello?
Hi, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Oh, your page came up. Okay, for the first question, to discuss how the money is laundered. I see we have a page here that has a gentleman, right? And this photo here basically has where he's using it to travel, let's say Bitcoins, gas stations, like that. So I see that it's for 10 points. So we have to, like, how do we accumulate the 10 points? We have to give 10 ways the money is laundered.
No, so what you do is you start off with the definition of placement, right? And you could even talk about the 3 stages of, because remember you need 1,000 words. So you could talk about the 3 stages of money laundering, and then you could get into the definition of placement. Once you get into the definition of placement, you want real life examples. So then you can add like 2 to 3 case examples. We saw the case example with the car wash guy. We saw a case example with the malice curry. There's another case example with what's her name? I just said Chase and Elmer Chase Campbell. where they all, from the proceeds of crime, place the money into the
You said how
private
much?
sector.
You said, can you kindly repeat that last name for me, please?
Elma Chase and Jane
Mm-hmm.
Campbell. I'll pull it up so you can have.
Chase.
So, this is it. Former Free National Movement Cabinet Minister Elmer Chase Campbell remains at the center of a serious fraud case that, despite its high profile and its gravity of allegations, have yet to be heard. In 2020, Campbell Chase, who previously served as the Bahamas ambassador to China and a senator under the FNM government, was charged alongside her son, attorney Che Chase, for defrauding the Ministry of Tourism. Now, at this time, when they defrauded the Ministry of Tourism, her son was already on bail for defrauding
Mm-hmm.
PPL.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, so you can use any of those cases.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay. So terrorism, the objective of terrorism is to intimidate a population or to compel a government or an international organization to do or abstain from doing any act. In contrast to other crimes, the main objective is not financial gain. Who is classified as a foreign terrorist organization? Terrorist groups change over time. The U.S. Department of State maintains a list of organizations: Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, and two splinter groups of the Irish Republic Army. To be added to the list, the following criteria is required. And again, this is US based. The group must be from another country. It must engage in terrorist acts defined by the US government. It must threaten the safety of US nationals. Once the USA has decided a terrorist group, there are certain legal consequences. It is illegal for any US citizen or anyone in the United States to provide terrorist groups with material support such as money, housing, or false identification. Members of any forest terrorist organizations are not allowed to enter the United States. These are the worldwide terrorist groups according to the US. Um, they certain have identified as state sponsors of terrorism, notably Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan. They remain the five top countries according to the US. Okay. What is terrorism financing? The United Nations International Convention for the Suppression of the Financing of Terrorism broadly defines an act of terror as an act which constitutes an offense within the scope of an as within the scope of an as defined in one of the treaties listed in the United Nations. Any other act intended to cause death or serious bodily injury to a civilian or to any other person not taking active in the hostilities in a situation of armed conflict, when the purpose of such act by its nature or context is to intimidate a population or to compel a government or an international organization to do or abstain from doing any act. All right. And so the book goes on to talk about the terrorist organization. They need financing. And this is how you answer the question. First, you start off with the objective is to compel a government, and these are their purposes. This is how you answer question 2 on the homework. So their purpose now, they need recruitment. They need to recruit an army, right? Then once they recruit this army, they need to train this army how to fight. And then they need weapons, right? So they need money for all this stuff. And so once they go out, recruit, train, and get these weapons, sometimes they have to travel to other jurisdictions. They need materials. They need somewhere to live. They need safe haven protection. We saw that bin Laden was able to live comfortably for 10 years, right? Right outside the Defense Force base in Iraq, right? But nobody could find him for 10 years. He also needed insulin every day, right? So how was bin Laden able to survive for those 10 years? And it was a $1 million bounty on his head, right? Do we know how he was able to survive? Anybody? Through this
Connection,
network.
connections.
Yeah, through this network. all through the network, the same network that Miss Bullet asking y'all to go out and build up. All right? Bin Laden was able to survive for 10 years. Had food every day, lived comfortably in his two-story house, had wives and concubines, and got insulin every day. Some of us working and we can't afford insulin every day. And being on the run. And we could bank. And we can't afford the lifestyle that Bin Laden had. But that is the power of a strong network. All right. So I encourage everybody to go build a strong network for good. Okay. That's the power of a network. All right. So people say you don't have to have money in your pocket. You know the right people and you could survive. And it is believed that terrorists raise funds by the abuse of charities. Name 3 ways on how they finance their objectives. The abuse of charities, by self-financing through members and sympathizers, by criminal activity, drug dealing, kidnapping, extortion. All right. So there's all through fraud, through gambling, through activities in failed states, through robbery, through smuggling. There's all sorts of ways. Terrorism financing may involve legitimate or illegitimate funds or values, proceeds of crimes, which have been earned from legitimate or illegitimate business transactions, such as personal donations and profits from businesses and charitable organizations, as well as criminal sources such as the drug trade, the smuggling of weapons and other goods, fraud, kidnapping, and extortion. Just go to it might be page 23 or 29 in some of your books. And there's a chart and it says comparison and money laundering and terrorist financing. When it comes to the money laundering and terrorism question, this chart is very helpful. This question is normally on the final exam. And so it speaks on comparison. Have we found it on 23 or 29?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
On
you see it? Okay.
20, yeah, 20,
And so it
23.
says the
3.
motive. Okay, for 23. Okay, good. So it says the motivation for money laundering is profit seeking, and the motivation for terrorist financing is ideological, which means this is their belief. Like how we grew up as Christians, they grew up as Muslims. And their belief is that, if you become a suicide bomber, your family will become rich, you'll get all these wives and these concubines. And so you must die for Allah. And imagine somebody coming and telling us that Bishop Lawrence Rowley and Real, or Benny Hinn. I mean, I guess we over Benny Hinn, but T.D. Jakes, or um, Walter Hanschel, Ian Real, right? We grew up with them preaching and stuff. We definitely our Grammys. Some of the young people will believe it, right? But our Grammys, you can't tell them Walter Hanschel ain't real. She'll send you straight to hell, right? So ideological, which they were trained up to believe. And then it says the intention for the money launderer is to clean ill-gotten gains or dirty money so that they appear to be proceeds from legal activities. And the intention of terrorist financing is to intimidate a population or to compel a government or an international organization to do or abstain from doing any specific act through the threat of violence. And then the source of funding, unlawful sources only for money laundering, extortion, kidnapping, smuggling, the use of charitable or relief funds. In terrorist financing, there's both unlawful sources as well as legitimate sources. So they do the kidnapping and the narcotics and the improper use of the charities, but they also get regular people just believe in Allah. They believe in the Muslim faith, and some foreign government sponsor them. And people just go to work and say, I'm making a donation. Just how we sent that money to TD Jakes, they sending that money to Bin Laden to fight to ISIS, you know? So then the method is for money laundering is placement, layering, and integration. And for terrorist financing, it's the same or similar methods used by criminals that launder funds. The life circle is circular for money laundering, which is funding, placement, layering, and then integration. And it's linear for terrorist financing, funding, placement, layering, integration, and then their terrorist activity because they would have enough funding now to carry that terrorist activity out. And so, do we know on September 11 that one of the planes landed in Freeport? Are we aware of that? You all
No,
there?
no.
Planes from
No.
Plane from New York?
Yeah,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
there was an American Airlines plane that landed in Freeport in 2001. We have 5 international airports: Exuma, I think two in Eleuthera, one in San Salvador, one in Freeport, one in Nassau. And in 2001, our immigration officers were vigilant. They landed in Freeport, American Airlines. They wanted to hijack and go into the either the White House or the Pentagon, and they did not have the correct visa. And so our immigration officers in 2001 turned them around and said, no, we cannot let y'all through. You'll have to go on the next flight out. And they were detained, and then they were sent on the next flight out, and they were unable to hijack the plane that they could have taken to Washington. All right. So thankfully, back in 2001, our immigration was vigilant and knowledgeable to not take a tip that day and turn the people around, because I believe the Bahamas would have still been suffering today had they been able to leave from here and drive that plane into the White House. All right. So again, we want to be aware, we want to be abreast of the risk. We want to make sure that senior people out at those international airports where, think about San Salvador, you'd be like, nobody's go there. That's a good place to infiltrate. Right? So be cognizant and be aware. All right. Yeah, it almost happened to us. All right. So let's read this case 5, Anthony, just for awareness training. And there are many, many shows. There's Dirty Money, there's Ozarks, there's something called Insider Job. Read, they are on Netflix. Read them, go on Netflix, read about them so you can just be aware. Because I can tell you, after you read this case 5, it's gonna wake up your senses. This is gonna be things that we would never even dream about. All right, because we don't believe in these things, but people in different parts of the world, they these are these beliefs, and we are opening up our borders. We work in a very diverse country. Royal Bank always speaks on diversity and hiring people from different cultures, and so we need to be aware of the threat and the risk of who comes in and out of our country, and what can affect us. Okay. All right, Anthony, go ahead. Case 5. You could read the
How
first
do
2 pages, and then
okay.
we'll go from there.
How do ISIS terrorists finance their attacks? Meeting in Turkey just 2 days after the horrific terrorist attacks in Paris, leaders of the G20 countries issued a statement condemning recent Islamic State in Iraq and Syria ISIS attacks and reaffirmed their commitment to combat terrorism. More specifically, the group of industrial nations recommitted itself to tackling the financing channels of terrorism, which begs the question, how does ISIS finance its international operations? ISIS is primarily financed through a wide array of criminal activities, large and small, centered in the parts of Syria and Iraq that are under the group's control. ISIS steals livestock, sells foreign fighter passports, taxes minorities and farmers and truckers, runs a sophisticated extortion racket, kidnaps civilians for ransom payments, loots antiquities, and much more. It also makes about 40 million a month from Jesus, 40
Okay.
million a month from illicit oil sales alone. But these sources primarily support the group's expensive state building and warfighting enterprises back home, ranging from sorry, I have my glasses. Ranging from paying teachers' salaries, we need more, paying teachers' salaries and collecting the garbage to bribing tribal leaders and paying fighters' salaries. There is, however, an entrepreneurial self-financing model that ISIS recruits and supporters around the world have been encouraged to use to fund either their travel to ISIS controlled land or perhaps their attacks in the West. While it is too soon to state with any certainty how the Paris attacks were funded, the likelihood is that they were funded in whole or in part through local criminal activities or otherwise legal activities such as the use of state welfare benefits or taking out a loan. None of these would surprise since authorities have been uh, since authorities have been tracking the use of such funding schemes by prospective foreign terrorist fighters looking to join ISIS. Indeed, earlier this year, a Financial Action Task Force (FTAF) report identified several potential revenue streams for would-be foreign terrorist fighters, including robbery and drug trafficking, various social service payments, and unpaid loans. Some potential plotters or travelers took on short-term jobs to raise money that to raise the money they needed, I guess. It's a typo. While others simply drew on their savings and student loan accounts. Consider a few examples. Michael, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that. I guess
Good.
Yahaf Babu,
Mhm.
who murdered a Canadian soldier before attacking Canadian Parliament buildings in October 2014, worked at one of the Alberta oil fields to raise money for his attempted travel to Syria. Petty crime has the potential to bring in sufficient funds for a homegrown attack or transportation to a combat zone as well. There is the case of the 15-year-old boy in Montreal who held up a convenience store with a knife, stealing some $2,200 to pay for his plane ticket out of Canada. The teen's father turned him in to the police after finding the money in his son's bag. Or take the four men, or take the four men arrested in February in Brooklyn, NY, for attempting to join ISIS. Some of their funds were supplied by a supporter who operated a mall kiosk selling kitchenware and cell phones. According to the indictment, a round trip ticket to Istanbul cost a mere $598. One of the defendants expected that he would not need to bring more than 400 to travel to Syria because he would not have any concerns in the land of the Islamic State. In Britain, the Metropolitan Police's concerns in the land, sorry, I accidentally read the line again.
Yeah,
In Britain,
Anthony, we can stop right there. We can stop right
okay.
there. We get the gist. So thank you for that. Thank you. But imagine what it is saying is social service payments. So think about the people that were in Abaco and Freeport when Dorian came, right? March of devastation. Everybody came into the capital. Could you imagine those people needing all that aid, applying the social service, getting food stamps, and then selling them so they could sell the money to ISIS? Or Albury, the people coming in to get a loan and they want to send this money to ISIS?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now you see why we have these controls in place. Because basically they coming in and once they get that money, they have no intention of paying it back. All right. And so this is why we need to know our customer and our customer's customer. Okay. Because a lot of people are desperate. And like I say, I just thinking about my Grammy. You know, I couldn't tell my Grammy. I forget. Oh, I can't remember, but let's just say like TD Jakes, you know? She used to say, "You wake in the bike. I need you to send this money to TD Jakes." And if I didn't send that, I would go under hell, right? 'Cause we have those grandmothers, right? Who had to buy the pasta, car, and do all these different things, right? And so it's the same way that these people support and believe in ISIS. The same way people pay their tithe, they paying it to ISIS. All right. So just be aware. And like I said, there are shows out there um that you could watch because like I say, it's a lot of stuff that happens that we won't even dream of. So let me see. HSBC, most of you have Netflix, right? I would want you all to take some time, Cartel Bank, and watch this um Dirty Money series, and you would learn a whole lot because even though HSBC has been, around for many years and they had many, many scandals, they still going strong in many countries. Okay, so just for awareness, this is a whole series. Um, and y'all can take some time and watch it because again, it will be an eye opener. There's a series too on um what's the name of the bank? Deutsche Bank, hey, not Deutsche Bank. What's the name of the Wells Fargo? 4,500 people was let go. They were all a part of a scandal. 50 people stole, but 4,500 people 4,450 people were negligent, right? And they did not follow policy and procedures, and they aided in the fraud in the bank, okay? And so this is HSBC. It says for decades, HSBC, one of the world's largest banks, laundered hundreds of millions of dollars for Mexican drug lords. And says Senator Elizabeth Warren, dog journalists, and prosecutors trying to hold the bankers to account. Okay, so read that. I mean, sorry, go and watch this if you have Netflix and you could watch a couple of episodes. Again, like I said, just for awareness, because you would be very, very surprised on what happens in these banks and why financial crime is at $3.6 trillion and what we do to contribute to the growth of financial crime every single day. Okay, so are there any questions on chapter 1 or chapter 2?
No, Mom.
No?
No
Okay.
questions.
Okay, so you're asleep on it, and when we start next week, with hopes that some of you will get your points. So very good, Anthony. Thank you so much. That's your participation points right there. I'll make sure and document it. But we still want you to read the newspaper. We still want you to share with us. And next week we will start by some of you giving an account of what your takeaway from chapter 1 was, and some of you giving an account on what your takeaway from chapter 2, just to make sure we are all on the same understanding level. All right. So if there are no questions or concerns, you'll have a great week.
Oh,
Organize your schedule.
Excuse me, Miss Bullard.
Go
It's the
ahead.
group chat reminder.
Oh, how do we feel about the WhatsApp chat?
I like the idea.
The WhatsApp group?
I
Okay,
don't
so
mind it.
I'm fine with it. Yeah.
okay, so who's gonna volunteer to be the administrator?
I could put it together if they put their numbers in the chat.
Okay, so can everybody put their numbers in the chat, please, and Aubrey will add y'all. And again, y'all can, whatever newspaper article that you read, please send a snippet of it to the WhatsApp group. If you are part of Rotary, Kiwanis, or Toastmasters, please invite us in the group. If you are attending any seminars, any industry briefings, that once you subscribe and it comes across your page and you're gonna attend, take somebody with you, please, and network amongst yourselves. All
Miss
right.
Willard, I also wanted to ask a question,
Go
more
ahead.
career based. For those of us who are in the minority here who are not in a financial institution or in that industry altogether, um, do you recommend applying for a job in this industry at the end of this particular course, or should we wait until intermediate or ICA?
Yeah. So, compliance is a specialized area of the bank, right? And so
Mhm.
normally they don't just take persons off the street into compliance, right? And if you want to be an
Right.
effective officer, compliance officer, you should come up in the ranks. So if you want to apply for any entry level position, now is the time because it won't happen overnight, you know? And so you can now say that you are currently enrolled in this program, put that on your resume and
Mm.
send it out and say that you want a career change.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a process, but I would go entry level, learn a few positions because remember you have to keep the entire organization compliant, right? Which is risk,
Right.
sales, uh, HR, credit, right? So take us I walk through each of those departments, try to cross-train, try to gain as much knowledge as possible,
Yeah, I
in
mean, I'm a
Yaga on
quick
your
study.
policy and procedures. Sorry?
No, I said, yeah, I anticipated as much, but
Yeah.
I'm a quick study.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so jump on it right away. Just get your foot in the door and then move on up. The regulators seem to be hiring a lot. So the regulators are the Insurance Commission, the Gaming Board, the Compliance Commission, the Securities Commission, and the Central Bank.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, guys, sleep on it. All the best. We'll start next week with your newspaper articles and your takeaways from chapter 1 and chapter 2. All right, have a great week, and I'll see you next week, same time, same place.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Okay.
right, have a good evening.
You too.
Good night.
Okay. Okay, we have all the numbers before we go. We just want to make sure that Aubrey gets all the numbers. Aubrey, you got the numbers?
Yes, ma'am. I think everyone put it in the group chat, so I'm adding them now.
Okay, let me know when I can close it out because I don't want to close it out and you to lose them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Miss Bullet, I just took a picture of the chat, so I don't keep you
Okay,
too
that's
long.
you got all of them?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Have a good evening. See you next week.
Yes, ma'am.
All
See you
right.
then.
Thank you. Thank you too for putting it together.
No problem.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.